Hi there, you're watching Buy Now Sell Now on ET Now with me Shreyanshi Singh and Srishti Sharma, and over the next 1 hour we'll get all of your stock related queries answered from both a technical as well as a fundamental perspective. But well, first things first, let's take a look at the markets and see what they're up to, because it does look like it's a sea of red coming across the board, right?
Well, a lot of volatility kicking in, Shreyanshi, because the key index to track is indeed India Wix. That's up about 9% in trade right now. If you look at some of the individual movers, then it's just a handful of counters, just 4 stocks actually that are trading in the green territory right now when it comes to Nifty 50 index, because a lot of stock specific action, just stocks like IndusInd Bank, Bajaj Finance, Dr. Reddy's and Power Grid are some of the counters that are holding on to the gains which are less than 1%. So that clearly tells you that the traction is not there when it comes to the benchmark indices or it comes to the large cap space on the positive side. But on the flip side, if we look at some of the losers in trade, then it's definitely BPCL, Titan, Adani Ports are some of the stocks that are losing on the flip side when it comes to Nifty 50. But the good part is that the broader markets are holding quite strongly, because if you see the advanced decline ratio, that clearly tells you that the bulls are indeed seen to be taking a charge on that particular front. So all in all, a decent day coming in for the markets, a lot of volatility kicking in, because do remember that just on Friday as well, what we have seen is that in the first half of the trading session, we did see Nifty as well as Bank Nifty. There was indeed a sharp fall in both of those index. But on the flip side, if we look at the kind of move that the kind of recovery that we have seen in the second half was really commendable. So all eyes on the recovery, whether or not there is a cool off in India Wix or Nifty as well as Bank Nifty do recover from the day's lowest point or not. So that's something that we are keenly watching out for. But indeed, a lot of stock and sector specific action, Shreyanshi, is what we are seeing, because it's Dixon Tech after the announcement of the JV with Vivo. That stock is trading higher by around 4% in trade right now. If we look at some of the other counters, then yes, indeed, it's the real estate pack that is doing pretty well, because look at the move in stocks like Prestige Estate, Macrotech Developers, Oberoi Realty. Those stocks are holding on to the gains of almost 4 to 7% in trade right now. Other than that, what is looking interesting is some of these cap good counters from the likes of ABB. Those are seen to be holding strong. So all in all, a decent day is what we can call it coming in for the benchmark indices, as well as if you look at some of the stock specific action, then the OMCs are seen to be a bit under pressure. That's 4.5% cut coming in for HPCL, BPCL also down 2%. And all in all, the metals are also seen to be losing their shine a bit for now. So that's the construct of the market, Shreyanshi, what we are seeing at this point in time.
Well, absolutely. That does look like it's the construct of the market right now. Let's kickstart the show by taking all of your stock-related queries. In fact, before we do that, though, let's also flash the number that you can write to us on the top of our screens as well, because you can remember when you write to us, do mention the buy price for the stocks that you're already invested in. And if you're looking to make fresh investments, do mention the time horizon that you then have in mind as well. On the top of your screens, we should have the number that you can write to us at, and we'll be flashing it throughout the show, so you can definitely take note of that and write to us. But with that, let's also kickstart the show and connect our guests as well. We do have Kunal Bothra joining us again, and we also have Gaurang Shah, who's the Senior Vice President at Geojit Financial Services, also joining us. Good morning, gentlemen. Thank you so much for taking time out. And let's also take the first query, and I cannot help but look away from the realty pack, Kunal, because, you know, even in the market that we're seeing right now, quite the tepid day in trade coming in, but it's really just the realty pack that is displaying so much resilience at this point. So what do you make of it then?
Good morning. So yeah, I think it tells you that the markets are going to a risk-on phase, and the appetite for taking risk is a lot more better, stronger, and there's, it's been backed by a lot of conviction across so many of the high beta sectors and spaces. And I think that's generally an indication that even if the volatility extends for the indices for the next couple of days, I think that should be still considered to be a buying opportunity. And especially from the real estate pack, my belief is that many of the stocks, whether it's the likes of Oberoi Realty, which looks to be one of the strongest charts so far in this recent leg of recovery, and whether it's the likes of Anantraj Industries, etc., many of the stocks, I think these stocks have done reasonably well. I would continue to be bullish on the real estate pack, and the two names which I've highlighted, Oberoi Realty as well as Anantraj, I think both of them, they look attractive even at current levels. So for anyone who's looking at long-term investing, I would suggest a buy even at current levels.
All right, then, so that's the take coming in as far as the realty pack is concerned. But the first query that we have, at least a stock-specific query, the first one that we have is coming in from Nikhil Sharma, who's writing to us from Mumbai, Gaurang, and he wants to know about Reliance because he is holding 15 shares, and the buy price is, he's also holding 93 shares, in fact, of GAIL. So what do you make of both of these counters in terms of the kind of move that they can have in the longer term then?
So thank you so much for having me on the show. Morning to all of you all. So Reliance has been a laggard as far as the large cap stocks are concerned in terms of performance. And of course, we saw the kind of correction that we saw thanks to the FI selling in the month of October and November. Stock seems to be, stabilizing closer to 1250, 1225. From a long-term point of view, we have a coverage on Reliance Industries. That's a prudent disclosure from my side. In terms of targets, well, we have targets in excess of 1,500 plus kind of levels. If earnings deliver for the third and the fourth quarter in the next financial year, then these targets would get revised accordingly. On the question as far as GAIL is concerned, our sense at Geojit is that the entire oil exploration side companies are likely to do positive given the kind of focus that the government is putting in and the policy changes as far as the exploration policy is concerned. We remain positive on all the three oil marketing companies as well as exploration companies like Gas Authority of India. And if you invested in GAIL from a long-term point of view, then our sense is that you can possibly stay invested. Targets could be closer to 250 plus kind on long-term basis.
All right, then that's the take coming in on GAIL, but a lot of other queries are also trickling in, and let me take it from you, Gaurang itself, because this query is coming in from a viewer. She didn't mention her name, but this query is on HDFC Life, and she's highlighting that it's been 3 years that she's been holding the stock at a price of 671 rupees. What's your view on this one? She is indeed a long-term investor. Good time to average as well.
Well, so averaging will be prudent below the acquisition price with a 5% plus kind of correction closer to maybe about, the stock is at about 631, maybe somewhere close to about 620, between 600 and 620, you can average definitely. Prudent to give a disclosure. On HDFC Life, we have a coverage. And not only HDFC Life, Srishti, I think the entire insurance pack has been a laggard as far as the last 2 years are concerned. There was expectation that the new insurance premium rate is going to go up, which is slowly and steadily picking up. I think it will take a little bit more time for the new premium run rate to improve from going forward from here on and contribute to the bottom line in terms of net profitability. We have a target of 800. So if you do, first of all, hold on to it. And if you do want to average, I think between 600 and 620 could be a relatively attractive zone to average from a long-term point of view.
Right. The next one is coming in for you, Kunal, because we do have Jayesh writing to us from Mumbai, and he wants to know about Sona BLW because he does have 200 shares purchased at a buy price of 660 rupees, and he wants actually your take coming in for the longer term. So what do you have in mind for this one?
See, it's a tough phase for the stock on the very recent charts because the stock had done reasonably well over the last 2 years. 2023, the stock bottomed out at 400 rupees, 400 levels approximately, and then the recent high for the stock was around the 750 to 800 zone. Now, it's just that because of the last 3-4 months of the price action for mid-cap names, for the markets overall, even this stock has gone through a correction, and from 800ish, 750, 800 zone, it's come back to 600, 650 kind of a zone. My belief is that over the very near term, the stock may consolidate further. In fact, if I'm not wrong, today or in the previous week, the stock has confirmed a breakdown of a previous major swing support, which is around the 630 plus mark. So, which means we could be in for some more short-term correction. But since you've asked for a long-term view, I would believe that the stock looks very attractive from the long-term charts. I would suggest to hold on to the stock if you're a long-term investor.
All right, moving on then, and Kunal, once again coming to you. This query is coming in from Lakshmi, and she's bought 100 shares of Oil India. Her buy price is 537 rupees here, and she also has NTPC from a price of 432 rupees. Kunal, what's the take on both of these stocks? Good to hold on for some more time?
See, I'm very bullish on the PSU names and PSU counters over the long term. So, what's been happening is that after years and maybe in many cases it could be decades, we've seen many of these PSU stocks, moving up with the kind of momentum which we've not seen for the last many years. Now, Oil India, for example, the stock had done exceptionally well towards a point where from 2021 lows, the stock had gone through almost like a 5x, 7x kind of a return. Now, after that comes a natural phase of correction. So, these stocks have corrected by 30%, 40%, some of them have corrected much more. NTPC is the one which has corrected far less because of the low beta nature. But I think both these stocks are very attractive. In fact, my belief is that, that this dip which you're seeing for many of these names, the 30%, 40% correction, should actually be taken as an opportunity where you should look to average further, provided you're a long-term investor.
Alright, then let's take a very quick breather right here on Buy Now, Sell Now. When we come back, we'll continue taking all of your stock-related queries, so don't go anywhere. Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying tuned in. Well, let's continue taking all of your stock-related queries then. And Kunal, the next one that is coming in from Venkatesh, who's writing to us all the way from Indonesia. And this is a query specifically for you. He wants to know about BSE because he does have 300 shares purchased at a buy price of 345. He also wants to know if you have any cement counters on your radar as well. So tell us about BSE as well as cement counters for him.
I think if you purchase at 345.55 approximately, then it's been a phenomenal multi-bagger. So congratulations to you for holding on to the stock and having faith in the kind of uptrend the stock has shown over the last many years. I would still believe that the uptrend is intact for BSE. There's only one change which has happened on the stock charts when we look at this on a regular basis, is that the beta of the stock has started to get a lot more higher. So for example, maybe the the earlier extent the beta could have been just about 1.2, 1.5 for the stock. But right now, looking at the sudden knee-jerk volatility, there is a possibility that the beta could probably be shifted to 1.8, 2 for the stock. So that's the only change of stance. Otherwise, the trend so far looks, absolutely fine as well as attractive. From the cement pack, if you're asking me, I would still go with the larger cap names because my belief is that these large cap stocks themselves have been huge underperformers, and there could be a strong possibility that these large cap stocks may start to look a lot more attractive. Shree Cement, for example, is one of the formidable names which has done reasonably well over the last many decades. The stock went into almost like a 2-3 year of consolidation. I think at 27,000 plus mark looks attractive from long term play.
All right, that's today coming in on cement names. We're moving on then, and Gaurang, I'm coming to you for this query coming in from Bhardwaj from Coimbatore, and he wants to know, can he go ahead and buy NTPC Green Energy, one of the recently listed counters, for a long term? If not, then any other stock from the same sector would you like to advise?
So, Srishti, as a disclosure, when the IPO was there, and the IPO top end floor was, I think, 108, correct me if I'm wrong. We had come out with a subscribe recommendation from a long-term point of view on NTPC Green Energy. Not at current levels, but if you do get a dip, then keeping that IPO note as a base of my recommendation, you can definitely go ahead and invest, provided you have a long-term point of view. Other power generating names in the clean and green energy, we have a name called Suzlon, which is a high risk, high return kind of a recommendation. And other plays in terms of hydro and diversified power generation, we have coverage on the parent group of NTPC, that the green, that is NTPC Limited, Tata Power, Torrent Power, GSW Energy, and CESC Limited.
Coming in as far as NTPC Green is concerned, but Kunal, I'm going to come right back to you because we do have Vignesh writing to us and he wants to know about Amara Raja. He is holding 310 shares at a buy price of 1,325, so sort of higher than the current market price as well. Now he wants to know a couple of things actually. He wants to know if he can buy more at the current price, and also would it be a good hold at the current price for 2 years then?
Well, I think so. I believe that the stock looks very attractive from a medium to long term play. 1 to 3 year plus kind of a time horizon. Now, what changed for Amara Raja Energy and Mobility, that's a new name for the stock, was that the 2 quarters back or 3 quarters back, there was this massive price upsurge into the stock when it moved from 800 to 1600 plus in just a matter of 1.5 odd month. And post that, we've seen 2 quarters of the stock consolidating. So, so the breakout which had happened for the stock a few quarters back, that was on the back of significantly higher volumes as compared to the consolidation or the correction post that. which means that buyers who would enter into the stock, they're still maintaining a bullish stance into the stock price. The bias is on the upside. This consolidation or correction ideally should be taken as an opportunity to add further. So my belief is that from that 1600 plus levels, which the stock was overbought, it's cooled off, come back to that 1200, 1300 zone, which I think should be a good zone where you can look to average further if you're a long-term investor.
Well, certainly, Kunal, and at that point when the stock was showing that breakout, I remember you were also tracking the same and you were quite bullish as well. So, great call there. But let's move on and let's shift focus to another stock then, and that's from the power space. And Gaurang, if you can help Mr. R.K. Huja, one of our regular viewers indeed, who's been holding 30 shares of Torrent Power at a price of 1950 rupees. He says that he's at a loss in this one, but can he go ahead and average this stock and keep it for the next 2 to 3 years?
So, like I mentioned, Srishti, we are quite upbeat. As a brokerage house, we are extremely positive as far as entire power generating sector is concerned. With the new capacities that the government is planning to put in place, large part of it is going to be clean and green energy. Torrent Power happens to be one of the first power generating companies based out of Gujarat, which was power excess and cash surplus on the balance sheet. The stock rallied to, I think, 1900 plus levels and then it has corrected. I think you need to have patience with, investment into power generating, power transmission, power distribution, and power equipment companies. Prudent to give a disclosure, our targets are closer to 1,900 on Torrent Power. And if he has long-term investment, then like I mentioned earlier, I think 5% or excess below your earlier acquisition cost will be a relatively good strategy to average the stock in parts. Don't buy 100% of whatever quantity you have. Say, for example, if you have 100 shares, average 50%, that is 50 shares at 5% below the earlier acquisition cost.
So take coming in as far as Torrent Power is concerned, Kunal, I'm going to come to you, but I'm going to stick with the pack though, because Venu, who's a senior citizen who's writing to us from Chennai, wants to actually know about Tata Power and Vari Energy. In fact, he wants you to compare the both of them and tell him which is the better bet according to you.
See, to compare Vari as well as Tata Power would be very difficult because, of course, when you look at it on technical terms, the data point for Vari Energy, which is recently listed, is very, very limited as such as compared to Tata Power, which of course has been phenomenal over the last 5-6 years from 2020 lows or even prior to that. So I would probably believe that both of these are completely different charts altogether, at least as of now. Vari, of course, post the listing, the stock has moved significantly higher, and there was a point when the stock, I think, gave returns of excess of 40-50% in a very, very short span of time. Now the stock looks to be into a bit of a consolidation on the short-term charts. Tata Power has been a phenomenal multi-bagger over the last many years, and now I think in this leg of correction, the stock has cooled off from 470, 475 to come back to that 420-ish kind of levels, which again I would believe that could be a good buying territory for the stock over the medium to long term.
All right, then that's the take coming in on a couple of these power names. But with this, viewers, it's once again time to slip into a very short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying tuned in. Well, let's continue taking all of your stock related queries then. And the next one, Kunal, that we have is coming in from Jay Krishnan, writing to us all the way from Kerala. Wants to know about Hindustan Copper. Actually, he's not mentioned how many shares he's holding on to, but he's holding on to this particular counter for the medium term, and he wants to know what your outlook does look like for Hindustan Copper then.
So again, a very excellent kind of a chart on the long term basis. I remember, I think, tracking the stock when it was almost at 140s, 170s, thereabouts, I think 2 or 3 years back. I'm not sure of the exact time frame. But post that was a point where Hindustan Copper had broken past above a rounding bottom formation, which historically have been very attractive chart formations for stock when they come out of 10 years and 15 years of mega consolidation. So Hindustan Copper is one of them. Yes, the last 1 or 2 months, 1 quarter specifically, the stock has corrected from 350 levels, 400 levels to now I think just about the sub 300 mark. So I think Hindustan Copper still looks attractive at 288.
Kunal, you know what? I just wanted to also mention his buy price, because when you take a look at his buy price, it's 325 rupees, so significantly higher than the kind of levels that we're seeing, because he's wondering if he should at this point just sell and shift to some other stock given his buy price is quite high.
No, and that's what I was mentioning, that I think it looks attractive. You should look to even add further I think on dips. The only change which has happened is that the stock has become very high beta, so which means maybe I think closer to 270 or 250 range, 250 to 270 range is where you should look to add further.
All right, that's the take coming in on Hindustan Copper. We're moving on to the next stock then, and this one is on Coal India. And Kunal, this one is once again for you because Vivek wants to know, is this a good buy for a swing trade, and can he go ahead and enter at this price or any price that you would like to highlight?
No, not a buy for a swing trade definitely, because the stock is still on the verge of making or breaking the previous swing lows. If you're looking at a swing trade, then 420 could be a better level where you can look to buy. Post that, I would believe that the stock should be good for at least a 445 to 450 range breakout on the upside. So 420 plus could be a threshold for Coal India if you're looking to enter for a swing trade.
Alright then Gaurang, I'm going to take this one to you because we do have Padmavati writing to us from Hyderabad, also wants to know about Coal India, 1000 shares at a buy price of 414 rupees. So what do you have in mind when it comes to this counter then?
Long-term perspective, well, we do have coverage on the buy side for Coal India. A couple of things have improved for Coal India. For example, the output is now much higher than what it used to be. The quality of coal is also much better than what it used to be. The only problem is, because of the rally in the PSU stocks, this is also one of the stock which rallied and now has been consolidating close to about 400 on the lower side, 420, 430 on the higher side. 590 is the target from a long-term point of view. And long-term means, if you are investing in exploration or mining related companies, then your long-term definition has to be 1.5, 2 year plus because of the nature of the business that these companies are associated with. So if you do have that kind of horizon, first of all, hold on. And if you do want to average, I think closer to 400 or sub 400 would be a comfortable zone and strategy to average from a long-term point of view.
All right, that's the fundamental as well as technical take coming in on Coal India. But moving on, and Gaurang, I'm coming to you for this query because this one is coming in on Fortis Healthcare, when Subramaniam from Chennai is holding 40 shares and his buy price is just 160 rupees. And right at a time when there was a lot of discussion with respect to the capacity expansion, the kind of beds that we have in India and how the penetration can move on, and all these companies have delivered so well. But Gaurang, do you believe that he can still hold this counter, or maybe look to book out some of his profits right now? Any targets that you have in mind as well?
Srishti, we often talk about on ET Now as well as ET Now Swadesh about wealth creation and how investors have to invest in fundamentally sound stock if you really want to create value from your investment at a price and create wealth also, to be very honest, because creating value from your price investment and then creating wealth from that price is a total different thing altogether. First of all, on health related companies, we are extremely positive. Fortis Healthcare is one of the stock in the healthcare universe that we are positive. Other than that, we have coverage on Narayan Rudalaya and Fortis, I beg your pardon, Apollo Hospital. You are asking whether the investor should book out. Look, see, the way investing is an art, Srishti, booking profit is also an art, provided you are in need of money. If you are not in need of money, then I think the kind of growth rate that we are seeing in the future for pharma, diagnosis, as well as healthcare related companies, I think it's going to be very, very huge opportunity. So if you have a long term of view, you're not in need of money, stay invested.
Good opportunity is what Gaurang is calling this one, but then the next one that we have is coming in from Sangeeta, who's writing to us from Pune. Kunal wants to know about CDSL. What do you have in mind when it comes to this particular counter?
Again, an excellent chart, stock which has done recently well also, I think from 1400, 1450 mark towards on the verge of breaking the 2000 levels. I would still believe that it looks attractive. Yes, the RSIs, the indicators are a tad bit overbought for CDSL when we look at this on the daily time frame charts, but then these are the kind of names which typically tend to do very well. The best way to try and size your position is that drop down your quantity. If you were looking at buying, say, some amount of quantity in your trading portfolio, then you drop it down by, say, margin of 20%, 30% at least, because of the way the stock has run up and the indicators are not, or the risk reward may not be in favor. But then use dips in case if it happens for the stock, assuming if it comes back to say 1800, 1850 kind of a trading range, that could be a further territory where you may look to add further.
All right, That's the take on CDSL. But Kunal, once again, a query for you. Mahesh Motani from Delhi is holding two of the stocks, 1,000 shares of IDFC Bank. Actually, he didn't share his buy price, and he also has 50 shares of Aarti Industries. And he's saying that he's at a loss of 26% in both of these scripts. So, can he go ahead and buy more to average out, or look out to move out, or just continue holding them?
See, I think again, you'll have to look at it this way, that both these stocks are very strong stocks on the long-term charts. It's just that they were going through, or they are going through a phase of a corrective phase over the last many months. It looks like that for IDFC First Bank, that the stock is now trying to form a base or a bottom around the 60 mark. So if you're looking to average or add further, I would believe that 60 thereabouts could be a very good level where you may look to add further for IDFC First Bank, try and reduce your cost price, so that the break even comes lot more quicker wherever the stock starts off into an uptrending mode. For Aarti Industries, I would believe that just wait for a confirmation of a fresh swing high. So it's better that you buy the stock on a confirmation that the previous weekly high is broken. So for example, the recent weekly high for the stock is around the 455 460 mark. So in case if the stock breaks past about this level, say over the next 1 or 2 months, that could be a confirmation that the worst is now behind and the stock may come back into a recovery or a strong trending phase.
Alright, and that's the view as far as those two counters are concerned. Time for a very quick breather on the show. When we come back after this short break, we'll continue taking all of your stock related queries, so don't go anywhere. Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying tuned in. Well, let's continue taking all of your stock related queries. And Kunal, the next one that we have is coming in from Pratiksha, writing to us from Muscat, wants to know if you have any railway sector plays in mind, especially with the budget in mind. Are there any stocks from the railway pack that you're looking at then?
So I think most of the railway stocks have gone through their fair share of correction. I think 30% to 40% has been the correction broadly for railway names. For example, IRFC is something which I've been tracking very closely. The stock corrected from 220-25 levels to, I think, at a point when the stock was almost at 125 down 130 range, which means a decent correction of almost 40-50% for many of these stocks. Now, I think after that kind of a price correction and then the volume pickup, there is a very strong case that many of these railway names are trying to make a comeback. I would bet on RVNL as well as IRFC. These are the two stocks which I believe could probably do pretty well for themselves over the medium to long term. IRCTC, the stock holds a lot of potential, but somehow because of the beta nature of the stock, it generally takes a lot of pauses, or the consolidation is quite steep for the stock. And if the stock generally whenever the stock gives a breakout, that's where the momentum accelerates for IRCTC. So that could be another bet, but not at current levels, maybe at a breakout point which could be closer to 900 plus.
All right, that's the take on some of these railway counters then. But moving on to the next one, and this one is specifically for you, Gaurang, and if you can help Rajpreet Singh with any of your two top bets from the mid-cap space, any stocks that you like at this point in time for a fresh investment?
Well, so there are two names. One is, of course, Indian Bank, which has been a stellar performer over the last year plus kind of a time horizon. We expect the hospitality industry to perform well. Tariffs have gone up considerably, and post the second quarter earnings, most of the management of hotel-related companies have said that they expect the tariff to move further upwards, 15% plus. Wedding season has contributed to a great extent in room occupancy as well as banquet incomes. Food and beverages also contributes to a great extent. So Indian Bank would be the first stock that I would possibly recommend from the mid cap universe. Second one would be a mix of mid plus small cap, HG Infra and Engineering. This stock was in the news last week on fallback of the orders that they go. This company, HG Infra and Engineering, is primarily a infrastructure play, and with the kind of government spending both at center and state level in creating new infrastructure and modernizing existing one, we believe HG Infra and Engineering also would be a good investment idea from a long-term point of view.
All right, and that's a take coming in as far as those mid-cap counters are concerned. Kunal, I'm going to come right back to you because we do have Balaji, who's writing to us from Madurai, has specifically mentioned that they're a big fan of you and they want to know about Tata Motors, though 180 shares at a buy price of 1,057 rupees.
Thank you so much for your kind words. Now, for Tata Motors specifically, I believe that there's been a very rapid correction which had happened for the stock in the last 2-3 months, almost like a 30% correction for Tata Motors, something which I've not seen the stock going through over the last few years of this major price uptrend for Tata Motors. Now, this generally indicates that there's been an abrupt change in the trend for the stock, which was going through a very phenomenal kind of a trend. I remember the stock had gone to almost a 10x kind of a move in the recent last 4-5 years. Now there could be a point where the stock may consolidate and correct for at least another few quarters. So my belief is that if you're a long-term investor and if you've bought the stock at higher levels, I think you should just wait out for maybe another quarter, let the stock cool off, correct, come back to that 700 mark. There could be a possibility of a retest of the previous lows for Tata Motors and then a break below those levels. I think you should look to start buying only below those levels or averaging out.
All right, that's stay coming in on Tata Motors. But the next query that we have is coming in from OSN Reddy, and this query is coming in on Hero Motorcorp. Gaurang, if you can help Mr. Reddy with his investment of 19 shares in Hero Motorcorp, but his buy price is close to 5,000 rupees. Should he hold or exit or average at this point in time?
Well, so I think if you're a long-term investor, honestly, Shrishti, don't be satisfied with a small investment. You should, try to gradually increase your investment if the company is sound enough and you have a long-term point of view. So on Hero Motocorp, we have a target closer to 5,300 from a long-term point of view, which translates into a very decent return from where the stock is trading right now. I think at current levels or on dips, whenever you get enough, because over the last 3 months, if you actually go to see, or maybe last 2 months or 3 months, Hero Motocorp amongst the two-wheeler play auto sector has been an underperformer, primarily because of the concerns that are there from a short-term point of view. But long-term, we remain extremely optimistic. So try to increase your investments. Start from current levels, adding onto it. On dips, you can definitely gradually add more.
Absolutely. So the other one that I have for you, Kunal, is coming in from Gaurav Mahindra, writing to us from Indore. Actually wants to know about IREDA because he's bought 4,000 shares at a buy price of 232 rupees. What do you have in mind when it comes to this particular counter?
It could be a very volatile stock going forward also. Now the stock has shown correction of more than 40% in the recent past. I think just about in the last 3 months or so, from a high of 300 plus towards a point when the stock was sub 200 levels. I would still believe that there could be a possibility because this recent bounce back for IREDA is not on the back of higher volumes. The volumes have dropped down significantly for the stock. So which means that there could be a possibility of a retest of the previous lows of 200 levels for the stock. That could be a better level if you're looking to buy further or add or accumulate further for IREDA.
All right, that's take coming in on IREDA. But the next query that we have is coming in on Natco Pharma. And Kunal, if you can advise Manjula, who is a senior citizen holding over 180 shares of Natco Pharma, buy price is 1330 rupees. Still at some decent profits, but is it the right time to go ahead and add more, or should wait for it to go below that 1400 mark and then consider buying?
Yeah, so I think two parts out to this query. Of course, it's a good long-term stock which you should hold on to. And I think it's a fair price where you've bought. I would not say a very attractive price, but a fair price where you've entered into the stock price. Now, I think in terms of strategy, since you're looking to purchase further and add up to the existing quantity which you have, I think you should be waiting out for a dip, maybe 1350 or below those levels could be a better zone where you may look to enter or add further for Natco Pharma.
Alright then, so that's the take coming in as far as Natco Pharma is concerned, but I'll take it. The next one is coming in on Coforge actually, Gaurang. So I'm going to take that one to you because we do have an investor who's written to us, Rebecca from Calcutta, wants to know about the 10 stocks that she's bought of Coforge at a buy price of 5,966 rupees. She's been holding on to this one for more than 6 months. What do you have in mind when it comes to this one then?
This is another mid-cap IT play along with the selective few other mid-cap IT plays which have delivered fantastic on the earnings front, consistent performance. Even if you compare certain mid-cap IT names with large-cap names, you will find that some mid-cap IT companies have actually outperformed the large-cap names. Coforge, LTI Mindtree, L&T Technologies are some of the names. Persistent System are some of the names which have consistently outperformed. Specific on Coforge, well, we remain extremely positive on the long-term prospects of Coforge. again, I would again say the same thing, try to stay invested from a long-term point of view. And whenever the markets or the stock gives you an opportunity in terms of correction lower side, try to add on to your investments again from a long-term point of view. So hold on to it. It has been a stellar performer not only for the last 3 months, but for the last year or maybe more. And we expect the IT sector earnings to improve from third and fourth quarter and especially from the next financial year.
Right, that's a hold coming in when it comes to Coforge. But the next query that I have, Kunal, is coming specifically for you, coming in from a viewer named Deepan Rajgopalan, and he wants your take on Axis Bank. His buy price is 1175 rupees, quantity is 5,000 rupees. What is 1 week target for the same is his query.
I think if you're asking for 1 week, then the best case scenario which I can expect for Axis Bank is to probably get into slight recovery from this 1148.50 levels where it's trading on the spot basis. I would expect maybe a 1170 to 1200 mark for a very short term target for Axis Bank, and that also could be just about a best case scenario. And as of now, not many private sector bank stocks are participating in the same manner which is required for the markets to move up higher. So only if the banking stocks participate, Axis Bank can try to cover up the underperformance and maybe come back to the 1175 to 1200 range.
Alright, and that's all the queries that we could actually pack for you on the show. Thank you so much, Kunal, as well as Gaurang, for joining us. With that, we're completely out of time on this edition of Buy Now, Sell Now on ET Now.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.